Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. Josue here. As you guys probably already know, I'm a fellow believer from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and from what I hear, I live in the great nation of Texas, as the people are calling it nowadays. We preach at times, but we're going to get into all that. And to my right here, we have Mr. Chase Brown. He was born in North Texas. I almost said Teslas. He was born in North Tesla. He attended the University of North Tesla. And, he's an aspiring philanthropic creative, and it is September 1st. Wow, the year is going by. And he still loves very long walks on the beach. Why that is, let's get into that today. Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing really, really good. I'm starting to wonder why we always have to get into my walks on the beach and but not your preaching. What's
the
up with that?
People don't really care about my preaching. They're here for your walks on the beach.
I beg to differ.
I mean, heck, you were in Cali recently.
Chill,
and we saw you running on the beach. So
yeah, that was a run. So
we can only assume that you were also
I did one nice walk on the beach Wednesday night. Shout out to Danny for the inspiration. Danny Bryan. So
all these episodes I've been talking about walks on the beach, and Danny inspired.
No. He inspired that one walk. He inspired it because he was late to the house because we were going to catch up whenever the night that I flew in. But he was like, "No, go to the beach, get some." It was like after sunset. He was like, I can't remember what he said, but he was like, "No, get some after sunset in." I was like, "What?" Never even heard of this, but it was super. It was super good. But no, it was good spending time with obviously Chaz and Jake Rohr, and then meeting and then Juliet, obviously. Juliet's great. And then meeting a whole bunch of new friends like Athena and Bailey and Adi and Henry. And so it was a ton of fun. And then obviously, like every time we're out there, catch up with Pat and Gingy.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Must be nice being popular though,
No,
that sounds like a good time.
Bro, you got more followers than me. You're more popular.
I'm starting to pay people to follow me now, so.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. You can't say that over the air, bro.
I know. Please don't cancel me.
We'll see. But how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm chilling. September 1st. We just had a great August, but now we are, dealing with these other months. I'm okay with it.
Chill, bro. College football around the corner.
Right.
And then October, the best month is coming up. So
yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I mean, I guess my mom is born in October, so I'll give you guys. You guys are like top 7, I would say.
Bro, me,
okay,
Montel, Chaz, Pat, Lecrae,
okay,
your mom.
Okay, that's 7 people. So I said top 7.
That's at least number 2.
No, that's 7 people. So I said top 7.
No, that's not how it works.
It don't work like that.
I understand English is your second language, but math isn't your second numbers.
That's true. So. I was actually pretty good at math back when I was in the Congo. Yes, we did math back in the Congo, but you guys aren't here to hear about that. Yeah. As always, we try to bring you guys special guests, and today we're gonna have a very unique guest. He's one of our most requested. He's already laughing.
I don't know about that.
So y'all know about that. He's a 4-time, truck driver of the year, 3-time hardest working man in showbiz, 2-time, I should say, chillest person of the year, and a man who serves alongside us, as we do Deep Love, which we got into, last episode. We have Brother Philip with the dreads with us today. Let's give him a hand clap, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. I've been really looking forward to being here, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good.
We've been looking forward to having you on the podcast, having the conversations. Just to get it started, man, as I mentioned, we're talking about truck driving. That's not all we're talking about, but I brought that up. A lot of people don't understand what all it takes, to be in that industry.
Yeah.
In my old job, I was working, in that industry, so I'm very familiar with, speaking to truck drivers, having conversations, and kind of getting to the mind and all that it takes. Take us to the behind the scene of what it means, on a day-to-day to what that looks like.
It's fun and it's crazy at the same time. You start off your day having to check your truck, make sure that there are no issues with your truck. you know, like
You don't want to get pulled over.
Yeah,
They do not play.
not just that, but
Yeah.
you're literally carrying 80 tons of cargo,
Sheesh.
you know, and you can either break down or just your brakes might fail or
Yeah.
whatever. You might plow into someone, you know, people's lives at risk. So, yeah, it's a very daunting job, but I mean that's why they're called professional drivers. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, man. And then how, like, because to give a little bit of context, like, me and Josue have been friends with you for, what, at least 3 years at this point?
At
Something
least,
like that?
yeah.
So you've been in our lives for a long time, but, like, how did you even get into truck driving? Like,
Yeah,
that was something I don't even think we talked
I
about.
remember,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the first time I talked to him about it, I was like, wait, what do you even do? And then he told me, I was like, what? You do what?
Yeah, so I mean, I started off, you know, as everybody does. Straight out of high school, I went to college. I started off at community college. I wanted to be a pilot. Well, previously, I actually wanted to be an aerospace engineer. But I, through my research, found out you don't actually build the planes because I'm really good with my hands. You just sit in the office, and I that is not something that I wanted to do. So I switched to being a pilot, and I, you know, started the course, taking pilot training courses at TCC. And as time went on, it just started getting more and more expensive, and I did not want to take out a loan, which, I mean, that's, you know, it's everybody's
I get that.
prerogative to do whatever they choose to do, but I did not want to take out a loan, so I decided to look into a job that was I didn't need a college degree for, that would make me a ton of money, you know, so I could basically go back to flying planes, and I stumbled, you know, I guess God worked it out where I started meeting all these people who were talking about truck driving, and I started praying about it, and I just felt the Lord tell me to get into that. So that's kind of how I got into it. I took my test, you know, first time passed, which that was crazy. Started working for the company that I took the test with, and after a year, I met someone at church who wanted to go into business with me. So he bought a truck, and we started working. So I became an owner operator after a year, which most people don't do. So yeah, it's been a blessing, you know, for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people understand how nerve-wracking it is to drive those trucks.
It's crazy.
At my old job, I had to, because we drove the vans, the 16-footers, the 24-footers, single axle, double axle, and the sleepers, right? You guys have no idea what I'm talking about. Chase is going to put the link in the description
Is this
below.
your fourth language? What is this?
Yeah, literally, right? So in driving all of those, I remember trying to park, you know, like the 26-footers or the sleepers or whatever. And even just to start those trucks, it's not like you normally start a car.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot, not a lot, but there's a little bit that goes into it.
It's a sequence to
Yeah, there's
it.
a sequence that goes into it. And especially if it's manual.
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the world do you do this? So it takes a lot just to even, I remember trying to park it in our little parking lot.
Now, did you have a trailer with it?
No.
It was just a bobtail.
Just a bobtail by itself. And no trailer. I would have never driven if it had a trailer. Yeah. Like I would have just crashed. You know, I'd have been so scared I would have crashed. But like I think about like how hard that is to drive those trucks.
Yeah.
And know how much responsibility it requires.
For sure.
But you do it for 10 hours or not 10 hours, but whatever the restrictions
10 hours. But you don't do it consecutively. You normally get 14 hours of on-time duty, that's what they call it. But it's basically, you know, just anything that's like checking your truck, going to get paperwork, like stuff like that is counted on the 14 hours. But you actually have 11 hours to drive. And the 11 hours is split in 8 and 3. So you have to drive, you know, between 1 hour and 8 hours, take a break for 30 minutes, and then you get 3 hours back. And then you can drive for the rest of the 3 to make the 11. But I normally, depending on, you know, what the load looks like, I normally drive from, you know, 9 to 10 hours a day. So, Yeah, it's crazy. It's fun. It's nerve-wracking. It's all the above. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because even like in my car, whenever I'm driving next to semis, it's just I feel nervous. And so
Imagine how we feel. 'Cause
exactly. That's what and it's funny because like the exit going from here down to like Fort Worth on 820.
Yeah.
And so whenever it's just like literally there's 2 lanes on a bridge with a barrier just like right there, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
yo, I can't do this, man.
Those huge, well, I don't even know what they call them, turnpikes, bridges,
Yeah.
whatever. They are, because the trucks sit like so high up, they have a very high center of gravity. So anytime you have any bit of speed, you're
Swaying
like
all over the place,
bouncing around, and you think you're gonna topple over, man. So
Bro.
but I kind of like that
imagine.
though, because
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's crazy.
I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. So
Yeah. I remember I was one time coming back from Tulsa, and it's probably like maybe 1 a.m. or something like that. And this guy, I don't know if he just decided to have some fun, but he was literally running me off of the road. And so,
because he can.
yeah, then I was speeding, and he started speeding with me, and he just kept getting closer and closer. And I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of weird. And we did this dance for like a couple minutes to the point where I had to slow down, just let him pass me.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
I've had one of those in Washington State. They don't know how to drive, by the way. So we were going up a hill, and I was in the right lane. This van was in the left lane, and the lane was ending. I was ahead of him. He literally, from the back, like tried to pass me when the lane was ending, and I couldn't go anywhere except go into a ditch. And I mean, after that, after we got up the hill, he literally brake checked me, and I almost slammed into him. And I honestly, yeah, it was one of those days. I almost just let it go, but no, I had to catch it because I knew, if I hit him, it would be my fault. I didn't have a camera in the truck. Well, I had one, but I didn't have it connected. And so if there was any issue, I was going to be at fault. And I didn't want to pay anything to anybody if I could avoid it. So, yeah, that was fun. He, gave me the bird afterwards. But, yeah.
Goodness. And then what would you say are some of the things you like about truck driving that wouldn't be, like, present in, like, regular 8 to 5 jobs in terms of just like anything related to the job?
Man, the people that you meet, man. The people that you meet here, the places that you get to visit. But speaking of the people that you meet, man, a couple of weeks ago, I met so many Christians who are truck drivers in a span of like 3 days. It was crazy. I went to get my alignment done, and I got there around 4 or 5 in the morning, and we were just literally like a huddle, just talking about God and the greatness of God. Just talking for like 5-6 hours straight, just waiting. And like right after I got a load to Mount Pleasant on 30. And I ended up staying there for another 6 hours, which ruined my whole day. But I ended up just finding another driver there. And we also started talking about God, like going to church, him finding God after his divorce, you know, and his kids also serving God, having grandkids, stuff like that. And, 2 days afterwards, I met this pastor in Missouri who had just dropped off a load, or he was dropping a load for his driver who had to go take care of his mom. And I was just asking him about advice, in terms of like getting married or, being single, what to do, even in the trucking industry, because he has his own business that he started, about 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. And we just started talking, and I was able to connect and just learn a lot about just people, and the way that they see life, So it's been not just like a financial blessing, but the amount of knowledge and wisdom that I've been able to acquire from just seeing all these people and has been, I think, very beneficial to me. But I mean, I cannot emphasize enough how beautiful America is. You know, like people need to travel for real. Like people who were born here need to travel for real. Because I mean, like the plains of Wyoming and the mountains in Oregon and Washington, and it's just like you see these things and you start like getting emotional. You start just like reflecting on the goodness of God and how amazing like he created the world to be, for us to enjoy. So yeah, for sure, I definitely not just like driving as a job, but the things that I get to see and the people I get to meet are just like I guess you say icing on the cake. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like at this point you gotta make a TikTok, and become. I mean, low key though, if you go into all these places people don't see, it'll be easy to, capture some moments and like record that.
I'll say, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to see it because I'm not on TikTok. Joshua,
I'm not on TikTok
bro,
either.
But it's
we'll
just
make
like,
you
yo, is there like truck driving TikTok?
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
You'd be the first black one. Yeah. But okay, so with that, yeah, I mean, so as I'm thinking, I remember a couple of times I've messaged him, I'm like, hey, bro, we're having a party. He's like, I'm in Michigan. I'm like, okay. My hey, bro, we're having a party.
But I'll be back by tomorrow.
Yeah, that's always what he says. He's always like, I'll be back. I'm like, how you going to be back? You like across the world. But 2 questions. First question is, you're on the road so much, you drive so much. Do you still care for road trips? That's question number 1. And question number 2, like, do you ever get lonely? Like you're in the car, and obviously you listen to the Perspective podcast. Shout out to the Perspective podcast.
Obviously.
But like, do you get lonely just in the car? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I mean, there are times when, you feel lonely. We're not meant to be, souls, islands, as But I, for one, I like being alone. But there is a difference between being alone and being lonely, So, yeah, there are times when I feel alone, but I think the Perspective podcast keeps me going. But I also have been able to grow a lot in my faith because of the job that I do, because I literally get to spend 10 hours of my day with God, I get to worship for hours at a time. I get to pray in the Spirit, which, it helps, build your faith. And I get to listen to sermons that I can actually apply principles, to my life. So, yes, there's a part of being lonely, but I also, I don't focus more on that. I focus more on the benefits of being alone, if you will. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then road trips.
Road trips.
What about
road trips? I mean, the fact that I do get lonely, I think I would love to have my friends with me where, going on a road trip, like seeing the things that I've already seen, but actually be able to stop and enjoy, these marvelous places, that God has created. Because you actually do not get to do that when you're driving trucks, because you're actually working and there's always like a delivery time that you have to make, or else you lose some money. I'm not really. So yeah, I would love to definitely go on road trips, but it has to be with people though. It can't be by myself, because I already do that as a job. I think that would not be fun.
Yeah, I get that. And yeah, I think it's cool to see you. I mean, there's a word used in Christian realm a lot, but I think it's true. Like you, like stewarding the opportunity well, and essentially, like bringing it down to its simplest nature of just like finding the good in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whether it's taking a genuine interest and curiosity in like the people that you meet, whereas a lot of others can just kind of like not step into that. They can just kind of be like, all right, like
it's a job.
Like I just want to take the least amount of like burden and energy away from me as possible. I'm not going to talk with anyone.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try to get through this to get through to the weekend or whatever. And then especially even with like all the places you get to go, like I think a lot of us could in that situation kind of take the perspective of just like, oh, like this is so cool, but like kind of what you're talking about, like more so lean into like the, oh, I wish I could spend more time here rather than, oh, I'm glad I actually got to see this.
Yeah.
And or I'm sure some people could even just be so focused on like the job and just like getting it done, or they don't actually take in the scenery and whatnot and just simple things like that. Yeah. And so just to encourage you in that, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's
dope. For sure.
Yeah, I think even too, I started thinking about, what is it called? So what would you say, I guess, because a lot of people, I'm sure, have a lot of beliefs, maybe misconceptions. You know, when they hear truck driving, they think a certain thing.
Yeah.
You know, like what would you say, you know, some of those things, maybe some of the things that you've heard people say about, you know, being a truck driver, they're like, that's not true. That's not true. That's definitely not true.
You have to give me an example.
All truck drivers are fat. How about that?
That's a big one.
Because you're the total opposite of that.
I mean, obviously, I'm 5'11". I barely weigh 135, so I don't know about that. I actually see a lot of people exercising like at the truck stops. They have jump ropes, like dumbbells, stuff like that. So
you got to move around.
You do, because sitting there for long periods of time and eating junk food, it's not a good thing. And that actually brings me to a point. I was recently convicted by the Lord about eating healthy, and I literally had to take the passenger seat out of the truck to put in the fridge so I can have food that I could.
So you're a vegan now?
I'm not a vegan.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a vegan,
but
but
making sure that's not where you're going with this.
But fast food is
would have needed to have an intervention over here.
It's so not the way to go, and we're supposed to be stewarding our bodies and taking care of it, because that's where the Spirit of the Lord lives. So it was a wake-up call for me, because I was really trying to gain weight, but it was not the right way to do it. And so I think having a way where you can make your own meals, even though you're being on the road, like actually helps you be a good steward of your body. So yeah.
I thought about you because I did when I was doing Uber. Man, I'm like driving for maybe like a couple hours. I'm done. But you're going for like 11 hours in a day. Ooh.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, you do have to get your sleep in.
Yeah,
I think that's why they made it so once your clock is up, you have to rest for 10. Or you have to have a 10-hour break so you can whatever, I guess, sleep for 8 hours, and then whether it is taking a shower, cooking meals, whatever it is that you have to do, you get to do in a 10-hour break. So there are times when I only got 6 hours of sleep, and I could tell, even like from driving, that it was not the way to go. So I would take my 30-minute break early, so I'll be able to take a quick little 15-hour, 30-minute nap, and then get back on the road. And that actually helps, because if you're driving and you start dozing off,
that's me. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's been so many moments.
With 80,000 pounds on the road,
you don't want to mess around with that.
That's somebody's life that you're potentially messing with. So no, I do not take that chance.
Yeah, one time I was coming back from Oklahoma City. I was not from Oklahoma City. I was coming back from Tulsa, and I was going through Oklahoma City, and it was on a Sunday.
On I-44?
Yeah. It was on a Sunday. I can get there with no GPS. It's just I can close my eyes and drive. Literally. But it was coming back. It was on a Sunday. We had a celebration at the church. Shout out to Living Word International Church. and they feed you good, you know. And it was one of those services. And on my way back, I was just tired. Usually, I just keep pushing through. I'm like, I'm gonna kill somebody if I keep driving. So I had to pull up. I pulled up to a mall, one of the malls over there in Oklahoma City. I literally just parked my car next to a tree. I went to sleep for like 2 hours, you know, because I was like, there's no way I could make this next 3 hours if I don't sleep. You know, yeah, it was bad.
It clearly was a good nap.
It was.
Yeah, the closest I was to that, I had to take. I went up to Chicago to ride with one of my buddies, Nick, as he was moving home, and we left Chicago maybe like noon or 1 o'clock, something like that. And we were out with friends the night before, probably a little bit longer than we should have, to be honest. And so we were driving back, and Nick drove, I think, like the first, because it's like 15, 16 hours, something like that, if I remember right. So Nick drove from Chicago down to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems about right.
And so he drove the first like 8 hours, and then I drove for, I want to say like 3 hours, and then he drove for like 2 or 3 more hours, and it got to be like midnight, like around midnight, I think. And he was like, bro, like he woke me up after me only driving for 3 hours. He's like, bro, like, I'm sorry, man, I can't drive anymore. You got to go. And I'm just like, yeah, like we had like 3 hours left. I was like, we were basically like just past Tulsa, like or whatever it is, like Texarkana or whatever it is, and I was just like, yo, I don't know if I can do this. And I on Sam Rayburn Tollway, as we were getting back, there were some swerves that I wish I could take back as I was falling asleep, and I'm just like thanking God that Nick was asleep, or else he would have just like slapped me upside the head.
I had what was it? We went to we were going to my friend's wedding in as the locals call it, Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville. So
Jeez, don't even remind me of Kentucky.
Oh man. So I'm leaving from Texas. I gotta go to Tulsa to pick people up so we can all drive to Louisville, Kentucky. And so I leave Texas to get there probably around 1. So I left here 4 hours. Subtract. You guys do the math. And so I get there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a little hour nap before we all get in the car and drive. What was supposed to be an hour nap was not an hour nap. I probably slept for I didn't sleep. I ended up just talking to people. And so there's 5 of us in the car. And one of the guys,
taking turns.
Bro, one of the guys that came on the trip was specifically because I was like, man, you never sleep like me. I already knew that about him. I'm like, bro, we're gonna stay up, we're gonna do this thing for however long I gotta be up, you're gonna be up, right? And so we started driving, just me, him, and 3 people in the back. And about an hour into it, one person in the back knocked out. And then a couple minutes, another person knocked out, and then another person knocked out. 2 hours into it, the homie in the passenger seat out. So now it was just me at 3 a.m. trying to drive.
You better have some music on.
Bro, I had everything. I put the windows down, I had music, and they was all asleep. And so I'm like, I'm dozing in and out. And so I'm swerving like you're doing, you know, I'm swerving. But the stupid thing was nobody else wanted to drive. I'm like, guys, the point of this was there's 5 of us.
Yes.
We can split this up.
Man.
Nobody else wanted to drive. And I remember one of them she made me a little upset because I remember I'm swerving really bad. I'm trying to stay up. It's like 4 a.m. And then I almost said something, so I had to go back really hard, and everybody woke up. And then she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, do I look okay to you? And then,
that question.
And then here's the question that stuck with me. She goes, you know, if you're tired, we can just pull over. I said, oh my goodness.
Bruh.
I was like, if y'all don't, if you guys would drive, there wouldn't be any need for me to pull over. Y'all slept for the last 3 hours, you know. Why can't someone come drive? So, yeah.
Man. Speaking of Kentucky and being distracted and swerving, I actually a few months ago, I think in March or February, had an accident in the truck. because someone was on his phone. He was literally watching. I think he was watching a video because I saw him pass me the first time. We're going up a hill on 65, going south. I was actually trying to drive home because I had some that I had to take care of, and I was in a rush. But this man, I saw him laughing because he had his phone in his hand, and I saw him laughing, so I knew he was probably watching some funny video, some TikTok or whatever. But he passed me once. My truck, being what it is, slowly got up the hill. I was able to pass him, and he passed me again because that's when I knew he was really not paying attention, because normally they would just pass you and just keep going, but it seemed like he would stop and go, whatever. And he ran down the on the side of the road, those little markings. So he run all the way, and he tried to correct it without looking at the road, and he just drove straight into me. And I drove into somebody else, but luckily, well, I don't know if it was lucky, but the person that I drove into just kept driving because I guess they didn't feel it. They either didn't feel it or they had something very sus in their truck. But yeah, we parked. My radiator got damaged. I had the whole truck was just. It was still drivable, but it was a lot that we had to pay for repairs and stuff. And the insurance they didn't take care of much. So yeah, that was fun.
Gosh. Yeah, TikTok be getting people into trouble.
What day was it?
I think it was on a Thursday.
Okay, because if it was a Friday, then it would have made sense. But never mind, it wasn't. Never mind.
Actually, it was
Friday.
I need to figure out this math.
Huh?
Why
would it have to be on a Friday?
You know, when you
I don't
have to
understand
explain
this.
a joke, it's not a joke anymore.
No. I just I need to get this figured out because I understand for music.
No,
but
he said the dude was distracted on his phone. And he was laughing. And so I said,
I got it.
It would have made sense.
I got it. No, it was a Thursday, but yeah, if it was a Friday, it would have made sense. You're right.
Is it related to the movie Friday by chance?
Oh my goodness.
No, I don't know.
No.
Fill him in.
No. This is Josue Fridays, man.
Oh.
It's the post on
Come on,
Fridays, man.
Chase.
Come on, man. You gotta do better.
You gotta do better.
I'm sorry, man.
You gotta change your life.
It's just, I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting accustomed to it being on Fridays.
It's all good, man.
Maybe change it up to a Thursday at some point. Who
I
knows?
could. Well, I posted something the other day. Someone was like, "What is this? Early confession Friday?" I was like, "No, I'm just sharing some thoughts." But enough about that. I know earlier you mentioned, kind of having that, some might even say a very sweet opportunity to spend that much, quote unquote, alone time. You get to spend that with the Lord, listen to sermons, because those things are very foundational.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, growing in my faith, where I was working, I was always on the computer. I had my headphones in, and for pretty much the whole 8 hours, all I did was listen to worship music, sermons, and all these different things. And so, to get into your testimony a little bit, how did that all come about? Seeing as it's contributed a lot to who you are as a person now.
So, we can start off by where I was born. So I was born in a little country in West Africa with about 30 million people called Ghana. And I grew up going to church. My family, we're church goers, if you will. My grandfather planted churches all across the country. My dad, my uncles, they all, they were all not just big in church, but they had a hands-on. They really built churches up, basically. And so I grew up going to church. I even went to Christian school. Shout out to Fountainhead Christian School. Actually, they just turned 20 today. So shout out to Fountainhead Christian School. I learned a lot from going there, but I was never a Christian, quote unquote, I was, Christian in name, if you will. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian, Someone once told me a cat falls into a muffin basket or a kitten falls into a muffin basket and says to his mom, "I'm a muffin." That's not how it goes, You have to have a personal relationship with God or with Jesus, to actually call yourself a Christian. So, all my life I grew up in church, but I actually never, became a Christian until 2017. So I moved to the States in 2012. I was 16. That was a crazy time. That was fun. It was a fun time. It was a crazy time. It was a huge culture shock too. But yeah, graduated high school here, went to college, met a girl, and it's always the girl, man.
Sorry, Josue is over here dropping stuff in the back. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you can continue, Philip. So he was just so shocked that you met a girl.
I was like, this story's getting interesting.
Yeah, so I met a girl in college, and at that time I was not following the Lord. I was not, going to church. I was just in a place where I guess most agnostics and atheists are today. I was, trying to rationalize the things that had happened in my life when there was no rationality behind it. It was all God. But you always when you start growing up, you kind of take that approach where you try to reason things that are unreasonable. And I just started dating this girl, and I remember having this conversation with myself because I had seen something that I'd never seen before with her, because she had just gotten saved a few months before that, or she had actually back up. I don't think she got saved. I think she had an encounter with the Lord, and I could still see that had an effect on her, and I just. And I remember saying to myself, I don't think I want a relationship with God through somebody else, because that's what it felt like. And I remember when I was having that conversation with myself, I started thinking about my parents. And my dad he's a Christian, but when it comes to like the spiritual aspect, it seems like my mom is the one holding him up, and that's something that we can talk about later. But after having that conversation with myself, and just things that happened and progressed through that, we ended up not working out. She, said, God told me you're not the guy that I'm supposed to be with, and there's no point dating, and that kind of crushed me. But she ended up, giving me a quote-unquote testimony, and, it was pretty solid. But on my way home that night when she broke up with me, I didn't know how I got home, honestly, because it was crazy. But I got into my garage, and when I closed the door, normally the lights stay on for a little bit, but as soon as I got in, the lights went off immediately, and the Spirit of God just fell right there. And then and I just started bawling. And the only way that I always describe it to people is like the room could not contain His glory, but He was fully there. And it felt like a love that I have never felt before. That's what it felt like to me. And I just cried and cried and cried. And I remember asking Him, like, why are you doing this to me? And He said, I'm not doing this to you, but I'm doing it for you. There's a reason why these things had to happen, because you had to go to your lowest. And I guess me getting broken up with was my lowest at that point. And that was when I could see His glory in what He was doing. And I remember even after that, I still didn't like actually give my life to Him until like a month later, because I was still fighting with going my own way or giving up my way and following the Lord's way. And finally, on December 9th, 2017, I surrendered to God, and it's been crazy trajectory ever since. So yeah, I am very, very, very grateful that happened.
That's crazy. Because, yeah, I would have thought you would have been following the Lord pretty obediently for a while longer than that.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say that
bro.
when I say like I became a Christian, I never like I was never really like very like I don't know, I don't want to use the word bad kid, but I remember I honestly don't even know if my parents know this, but anytime I did something that was like quote unquote bad, because I was a very what's the word that Christians use all the time? Not hard, hearted, but when they talk about their kids, they always
Stiff neck.
no, not they have this phrase that they always use because but yeah, I was one of those kids.
Hard-headed.
Not what, but I was one of those kids who like
Oh, like a prodigal?
not a prodigal. I can't remember. Maybe later on, but I would always feel so bad afterwards. But I actually never let them know that I felt bad. So I would do something that was wrong, and it was. But I always felt bad, and I always ask God, like, why can't I, follow you like I'm supposed to, and stuff like that, because I was always doing it from my own effort, basically,
From your own strength kind of thing, yeah.
So, yeah, when everything changed that day in December, and it's just been crazy ever since. Yeah.
Dang. Because, the maturity that's taken place over the last, just short of 4 years now
almost 4
has
years,
been crazy. Because when would you say you came back to faith, during and after college? Around what time was that?
2016.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially with both of y'all, seeing, the maturity that is there and obviously, God laid a foundation for that while y'all were both young. And so glory to him in that. But, it's just, it's so, encouraging to see. Because I think something that I can struggle with from time to time is with people in my life is, almost, giving, I don't want to say giving up on them in a way because that sounds harsh, but just losing hope for transformation and sanctification, because it's something that kind of hit me where it seemed like in college I was a lot more gracious and patient whenever people were being all wild and whatnot, especially the various some various friends I had in college, just people in life, we all have those kind of people. And it's something that hit me a little while ago. It was why do I have less patience for that now? And it was something where I think at first it was kind of
it might be the time.
Well, the first thing that hit me was well, in college, I thought this was just a phase kind of thing. I thought that this was just something they need to get out of their system. It's something where a lot of young adults just kind of go through this to kind of time, and then the prodigal son, then they return to the Lord. And I was okay, this is just their kind of time for that. I'm gonna be here to love on them both verbally and in practical ways, and be there whenever they return. And then some of them have, some of them haven't. And I'm just well, why do I have less patience for them now? And I think it's because I was okay, well, I thought it was a phase, and now that I realize it's not, it's just what the heck. But then also it's confirmation for me to grow in patience and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I also think it's the times that we're in, because it seems every single day, the Lord is just getting closer and closer to coming. And so you're can you not see what is happening? Can you just give up and just give your life over to the Lord, and so we can all be happily in heaven? But it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
So I think, I have the same burden, for my siblings, because it's the same thing. But I think they have to experience it the way that I did. That's kind of how I see it. But it doesn't stop me from, encouraging them and praying for them. I don't know if I do a good job. You might have to let me know if I do a good job later on. But yeah, I hope that I'm doing a good job, being encouraging or just like living a life that they can see and say, maybe there is, something to actually check out, instead of everything else that the world tells us we should look to. So,
Yeah, Brother Peter puts it this way. He says, he calls us to awake. He said, you've had long enough to live the way you used to live, but now it's important that you wake up, to the way that we're called to walk. And then he goes on to say how, there's some people that they might accuse you of doing evil, but you continue doing good. And then it's like you said, it's later on that there's like a realization that comes into play.
Yeah.
Where they're like, maybe there is something to this.
Yeah.
That's found in First Peter. Sorry, I couldn't remember where exactly it was, but along those lines, it's that is that encouragement to know that as we continue just to walk boldly right before people, because we all have, whether it's family or friends or whatever the situation is, and it's an encouragement for everybody listening as well. It's so Uncle Paul puts it this way. He's like, only let your conduct be worthy of the gospel. Yeah. And in other places it says, only let your conduct be worthy of the Lord. In another place, he says the exact same thing. He pretty much says it like 4 different times in 4 different ways. But the main thing is that your conduct, the way you live, who you are, allowing that to be worthy of the Lord. And in that process, the Lord is able to do miraculous things with it. Because Jesus shares a parable about the kingdom of God. He says the kingdom of God is as if a man sowed seed, went to sleep, and then when he woke up, there's like all of this great harvest. He's like, how this happened? And who knows? I don't know how it happened, right? So it encourages us to just continue to sow seed and water seeds and continue to pray for those in our lives without knowing, because we don't always know the time, right? Because it's like you said, those teammates, the family members, we're praying for them like, God, you should have done this yesterday. We're praying for them, believing for them.
It has to be the timing.
Yeah.
God, man.
God's the one that brings increase, right? So, so that's just an encouragement. Because, that's definitely something that's tough, for a lot of us. We can all relate to that. We have family and friends that we're praying and believing for, that we haven't seen them come to the faith yet. So, that aspect. But to that, you 2019, I think is what you said? December 2019?
2017, yes.
December 2017 is that moment where you come to a place of giving your life, surrendering your life to the Lord. And there's been a lot of fruit that I would imagine you've seen as a result of that. 2012 is when, you and your family migrate, over here to America. So was that a whole family thing? Did your whole family come? Did you come? Because I know for different people that can be different.
Yeah, it's different for everybody, But for me and for my family, the way that it happened was my dad moved here first in 2002. I was about 6 years old. And then 10 years later, so 2002, he came back in 2010 because he got his green card. So when he moved here, he was able to work and he was able to get his green card. And then he filed for us to be able to come, and we got our were able to come in 2012. But we got our visas and stuff in 2012 because we were underage. So he was able to file for us because we're underage, and we've been here, since. And after that, we had to wait about 5 years in order to apply for citizenship. And, I waited over 5 years, but glory to God, I've been able to get my citizenship. I got my citizenship, at the height of COVID. So that's something that the Lord did. And right now I am working on getting my mom to the States. So that's kind of where we are, I'm hoping that after 20 years, my family can be a family again. So I know not everyone can handle that, but we're built different. So
For real. Yeah, y'all built
real.
different. Because, yeah, like, whenever I was growing up from probably, like, 9 until 20, something like that, my dad would work half the year over in Paris. But it would be something really simple where it's 1 month there, 1 month here. And so it was
Wow.
like, it was basically just kind of a thing where it's like, all right, like, he's gone, but he's not really gone. Like, and a lot of his trips, he could cut short a week if he really wanted to, and if he really put in the time over there. And then we would go over there, sometimes as well to go see him. And so it's just like crazy, but no. And so it's, it literally just hit me as you were saying that. Like, I couldn't imagine not seeing my dad or my mom for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, y'all seriously built different.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing that has sustained us to this point is probably my mom's prayers. Yeah, because like I said earlier, we probably would not be in this country if it wasn't for my mom's prayers. Because I remember being 5 and 6 years old and seeing my mom, you know, at 4 or 5 in the morning, getting up to pray and crying out to the Lord, because my dad had, you know, he was trying to get his visa to come to the States, and there were like crazy things happening, you know, and she would, you know, get up and pray. And I remember one time, I think my sister woke up because my mom was praying, and she woke up crying, and my mom was like, "You need to shut up. I'm praying, and you know, I'm praying for our family, so you need to like be quiet." And yeah, so that, yeah, and I probably would not. Even after that, I just remembered things happening in my life, like as a teenager, that the Lord had taken me out of because she had prayed for me. And she, you know, she would tell me, she obviously told me later on, years later, that there were times when people would tell her they had a dream about me being back in Ghana, and not in a good way, you know, where it was either because I had been deported or something like that. And I would tell her stories of people calling me and asking me to do very, very illegal things. And I just, I mean, as a teenager, you know, you see kids with all these things, you know, like shoes that you really like, and, you know, video games or whatever it is, and you just like gravitate towards those things. And so any person that kind of gives you the opportunity to get these things that you don't have to pay for, you would want to take. And yeah, I think those prayers really saved my life, for real. Because yeah, I would not be sitting here talking to you if that was not if her prayers were not the case. So yeah, I think we are almost at the finish line of, you know, putting the family back together. So we. I think that's when the prayers have to be more, you know. So yeah, it's been that way for, I guess, 20 plus, almost 20 years. So yeah, why does it have to stop now? You know.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, because I think about, like, it didn't even hit me until you mentioned that. Because we, all the kids and my parents, all haven't been together in one place in over, I want to say like 21 years.
Jeez.
The last time we were all almost together was my 11 siblings and my parents was, I want to say 2017 when my sister got married. So that was the last time. Because 2 of my siblings, 3 of them are overseas. Okay. So 2 of them were able to make it to the wedding, 1 wasn't. So if she would have came, then we would have all been together. Yeah. But now that I think about it, I'm like, man, we haven't all been under one roof in like it's more than 19 years, like 21 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's a really, really long time.
Yeah,
you know, I think about
for
it.
Sure.
But to the point of, speak to us a little bit about that, you know, that added responsibility that might not cross the mind of others, because it's like, what do you mean? That other added responsibility, seeing as your mom's not here, you know, and having that desire to, you know, make a way for her to come here for the sake of restoring, you know, the family. You know, speak to us about, because I'm sure that's something that weighs on you. You're here, you know, you're enjoying, you know, life, and you want her to enjoy some of these things, but not being able to.
Geez, I mean, I think growing up, I heard a lot of people like talk to me, not in a kind of condescending way. Not I wouldn't say in a condescending way, but more like you would not amount to anything. And so I think that kind of drives me in a sense. But more than that, I think the Lord has reaffirmed his acceptance of me, and the way that he sees me is the way that I see myself now. So more than anything, I think that has been the thing that has pushed me to make that happen. But also the fact that him putting my parents together and having, us as kids or whatever, is a thing that obviously it's his will, and I just feel like I just want to be a part of his will becoming a reality, if you will. So yeah, I try not to think of it as a responsibility, but like a thing that I get to do as opposed to a thing that I have to do. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, because there's a benefit to not seeing that as a burden.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, whenever I see things as like burdens, and then sometimes like
It
the
sucks
quote
the
unquote
joy out of it.
responsibilities.
Yeah,
I
you
have,
don't even want to do
Yeah.
it.
it sucks the joy out of
Yeah.
it, because I think for me in specific, like I then tend to look at the things that I don't get to spend time on because I have to do this other thing, and I'm just like, man, and there's definitely certain things where it's just like, all right, God, like this is, a calling and something that you've put in front of me that I know is obedience to do, that feels like a burden. And I actually have like a little note written up in my room right now about a couple things in specific of basically like, am I willing to make the sacrifices that are needed in order to make this happen? And so like, yeah, just saying that to say, I think there's some times where we need to push through that, but still being able to have that perspective is so good. So then going from there, switching gears a little bit, talk to us a little bit about Ghanaian culture and everything that goes into that.
Yeah. Shoot. Ghanaian culture as opposed to American
Ghanaian?
culture.
Dang it, man. I knew this too.
Yeah.
Because we've said Ghanaian
Jollof.
food for a lot. Yeah, dang it. I'm sorry, bro.
Ghanaian.
You guys are famous on this podcast.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Man, so I one thing that I noticed about America is that, I guess I'm an American now, so we are obsessed with race.
Before you do that, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
You got
your
it.
train of thought. You were going to say we're obsessed with race, and you're going to continue with that. You said you're American now. Do you struggle with like, I don't really feel American though, even though I am? My favorite, but, like, I don't feel American. You know what I'm saying?
There are times.
Because that's me all the time. I'm like,
there are times
where you
when.
from? I'm Congolese.
Yeah, every time someone asks me where you from, I'm like, I have to break it down. I was born in Ghana. I literally started. I like made this statement, or if you will, like phrase or whatever, where I say, I was born in Ghana, but I'm made in America. And every time I say, people will laugh, and they're like, "That's good." He's
a funny guy. He may be quiet, but he's a funny guy.
So
Americans and race. Continue.
Yeah, we're obsessed with race, and it's not like that in Ghana. Like, I guess it's because everyone that you see looks the same. So yeah, but for me, I actually stopped saying race because it's more ethnicity than it is race, because we're one race, as the Bible says. So I'm not really for that. But yeah, like it's so weird. But man, just like the way that I grew up, I knew that man was made in the image of God, and it doesn't matter what you look like here. It's just a different aspect of the eternity of God, if you will.
Character of God,
yes.
eternity of God.
And so that's kind of how I looked at it, and so it was very weird. Like, well, I wouldn't. I'd say that it was weird when I first got into the airport and seeing a lot of people who didn't look like me, because I saw more people who did not look like me than I did people who looked like me, and it was like, I mean, I was shocked, but then I was kind of excited because the school that I went to, they had a partnership with Youth with a Mission, and so there was a lot of people coming over, to do mission trips and stuff, and so I saw a lot of Caucasians, if you will. I don't like saying white people, but so yeah, like it wasn't like I'd never seen someone who did not look like me, but it was not something that I actually like actively focused on, and yeah, like that and the fact that there's so many like different languages in Ghana that we kind of don't take ethnicity as seriously as Americans take it. We normally like just kind of just make jokes about each ethnicity, or just talk about their strengths and their weaknesses and stuff, but it's not something that we actually focus on. It's just like little jabs, whatever, but it's not.
It's like a secondary characteristic rather than like the priority and primary characteristic.
And I think we need to, as a country, we need to get back to thinking of ourselves as humans first, as mankind first, and everything else does not matter, really, because it really does not, So, yeah, I hope, just meeting more people and just talking to them and explaining to them that you're human first and everything else is secondary. It kind of changes people's perspective, hopefully. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it. We have very good music, great music.
What languages y'all speak there?
So I speak Ghan and Chi.
You speak what and what?
That sounds like Chinese. What's
yeah.
that?
So yeah, I speak Ghan and Chi. G-A.
That's it?
Yes. And then Chi is T-W-I. And with Chi, it's, I don't know the way that I'll describe it. So there are different types of Chi. And I used to describe it as like Spanish and Portuguese and like Italian, like being like very similar, But it's more so accents than it is. But there are like different words. But it makes sense describing it as an accent than describing it as like different languages, because we might in Texas have a word for like y'all or something, and then up north they might not say use, yes, or use or something, so and like in Pennsylvania they say stuff like John or whatever, but we don't say that, so yeah, it'll probably be something along the lines of just accents and just little different words that people use. So yeah, so we have like Asante Chi, which is like the largest, and then we have a Kriapin Chi, and then we have Fanti Chi. So yeah, and then there are other languages like Ewe. We have Hausa, Frafra. Jeez, all these like language I can't even remember. Yeah, and I remember coming here and all my sisters just wanted to speak English, and so my dad would always get on them like, why don't y'all speak your language? When you're home, just speak your language. When you go out to school or whatever, you can speak English. But now it's kind of weird because my dad started speaking English too. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but it's I think it's cool just like learning different languages. And I remember having this conversation with one of my cousins. I was just like, I think if I ever have kids, I'm going to teach them, I'm just going to basically like the way my dad was describing, just speak your language at home. I think that's what I'm going to do. Just speak my language at home. And then when they go to school, they can, speak English. So yeah, that way they know multiple languages and they can I guess, talk behind people's back. I don't know.
Yeah, those would be the funniest stories when like someone's talking behind someone's back, but they don't know they understand it. And those are some of the best stories that I've heard.
Or you might not even be talking about somebody. It just feels more natural to talk about something specific in like your native tongue, and then and then someone might think that you might be talking about them. That's actually, I think those things are fun too. So yeah.
You know, the people have always wanted these questions. I don't know if you had a couple more you wanted to ask them before we got into that.
Yeah, we can do the ones that we like to ask is because you articulated a little bit like some of the parts that you like about Ghanaian culture and just kind of like various things like that. What is one or two things that you think American culture could learn from Ghanaian culture? You could reiterate what you've shared, like previously shared too, and then going off of that, what do you think Ghanaian culture could learn from American culture?
I think one thing that American culture can learn from Ghanaian is showing respect to elders. It's a huge thing. Because I remember, like my first day of high school was a total culture shock. Like people cussing out their teachers that would not like, and the teachers like, "Where's the belt? Where's the cane?" Like, no, you're not getting any whoopings, man. Like, and I think also just taking things too seriously, man. Ghanaians do not take things too seriously. I wouldn't say everything is a joke, but the serious matters, they kind of make it jovial in a way to be palatable, if you will. So, I think not taking things too seriously, you probably cure a lot of stress and anxiety in America. I think, and thing that we can, we as Ghanaians can take from American culture. There's so many things. Economic structure, like capitalism versus socialism. Because I don't think most people know this, but most African countries are socialist in nature, and I guess that kind of runs through South America and a lot of places. So I think because it's normal to be socialist than it is to be capitalist. I think because the way that it starts, or the way that it's presented is you taking care of your neighbors. That's kind of how it's presented, and so that's why it's normal. But it actually does not work that way. It's actually just people trying to grab power. That's kind of So that's literally, I think that's a huge thing that Ghanaian culture can take from American culture. Is just being able to not depend on government. It's also a huge thing because sometimes I go through like social media and see posts about like either president or like ministers. That's kind of what we call them. So ministers or MPs, just like members of parliament, which I guess that would be like congressmen here. Yeah. So and like they talk about the leaders are not doing anything, and I'm like, dude, be your own leader. I literally, I remember telling one of my friends, I was just like, honestly, I think you should just be your own leader because you're not, it's just better off like you doing something for yourself as opposed to waiting for somebody who is quote unquote in the government to do something for you. And that's kind of how, it seems like that's kind of how the country was made in the beginning. And so, like if people can just do something, but to be able to do something, like you need a lot of money, or you need a lot of influence, because that's kind of how it is right now, where you have to either know someone in the government, or your family has to have a lot of money, so you have to have a lot of influence. You just throw your weight around to be able to do stuff. But I literally know people who don't have that, but they're doing things. One of my best friends has literally built a drone company out of nothing. Like he's he sells drones, you know, and he had like does surveillance and stuff for big corporations. And so if he can do it, you know, anybody can, and he did it out of nothing. So yeah, I think that's one thing that Ghanaian culture can definitely learn from American culture.
Yeah. And I'll just say I really like that because, like, the size of something doesn't automatically mean it's significant, like, on both sides. And so, yeah, like, we've lost the benefits that come along with being involved at a local level in your community. To a degree where you affect your community. Like, not everything needs to be on this grand scale with thousands or millions of followers on social media or at a federal level. So yeah, just saying that to say, agree with it, bro. So
yeah, I mean, to that point, we have the people they've been waiting to ask.
Of course, they have.
The most important part of the
most
podcast.
important part of the podcast. You guys have been waiting this past 20 minutes. Anyways, so we've been trying to settle this one. This is always the first one. So
I already know what you want, man.
there might be a little bias here, so I'm just gonna put it out there for the people listening. So number one, who has the best jollof rice in all of Africa? Right, the two countries, three now. I didn't know these other people made it.
Okay.
So it's y'all.
Okay.
Your brothers from Nigeria.
Okay.
And then your other brothers from Senegal.
Okay. I did not know.
I didn't
that.
know either until a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Those. If somebody brings more, we're gonna add it.
Yeah.
But those are the top
I would
three.
have to try Senegalese jollof to be able to actually have any comments on that, but. Man, I remember talking to a friend about this, and we described Nigerian jollof as light skinned because the stew to rice ratio is lacking, so it's like light skinned, and so yeah, that's an L for me. And Ghanaian jollof is tan. Because the rice to stew ratio is on point, so it's actually 10, and I think that's how it's supposed to be.
I've actually never had Ghanaian rice, like jollof rice. I don't think so. To the best of my knowledge, I haven't. But then again, one of my friends is from Ghana, and we had some of his birthday, so I think I did. That mug was spicy. He was in. I'm gonna hit him up so he come on the podcast and serve this for us. Light skin.
Yeah, it depends. I guess it really depends, like which part of Ghana. But for the most part, the way that they make it is like the stew to the rice ratio has to be like not. The stew cannot be lacking, man.
Yeah. I mean, and
it also cannot be too much, because then it becomes almost soggy. You know?
Yeah, it becomes a super rice. Yeah. To give it to you, we've had Nigerians say y'all had the best jollof rice, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So we got that one out the way. The next one. Is it the next one? Is it the music or the
dancers?
The dancers. All right, top 5 best dancing countries.
Top 5, man. Okay. Cote d'Ivoire is up there.
Ivory Coast, they made it again. Wow. Okay.
Ghana's up there.
Okay.
Nigeria, obviously.
Okay.
I'd say Congo is up there, man.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Jeez. What else? I can't think. I don't know if I'd put either Cameroon or Kenya. One of those.
Those are good choices, man.
Yeah.
Those are good choices.
Kenya. Or even, well, actually, I guess that would probably be the music part. But I think they might be tied.
They might be tied.
5.
They might be tied. 5 A, 5B.
Yeah, they might be tied for
So
number
since
5.
you brought us there, so give me top 5. We need, when I say music, I'm talking about influence. I'm talking about just music in general and all that encompasses music.
Yeah. So I think, music. When it comes to influence, I'll say Nigeria is number 1 when it comes to influence. But I think Ghanaian music is better.
I heard y'all make some hits, so I'm not gonna argue with you there.
What's one Ghanaian artist?
Sarkodie. Yeah, he's probably the world known artist, or if not one of them. Who else? Jeez, can't even think of any names right now, but Sarkodie for sure. But coming back to music, so Nigeria would be, number one in influence, but number two probably in, music overall. I guess maybe it's because I don't understand their language, but also I just think Ghanaian music is better. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, that's
I'm not,
okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. I was saying the same thing.
Yeah, so it'll be Ghana. I mean, Nigeria, Ghana. Congo makes some good music.
Why are we always in the top three? I don't understand. Like, it don't make sense. We always top three.
It's just because y'all literally in the middle of everything.
Yeah, we are. Literally in the middle. Yeah.
I think Cote d'Ivoire has some good music too.
They do.
And, jeez, I don't know if I'd say either South Africa or Zimbabwe has some good music. I know.
Yeah, those are my people. I got some people down there. Yeah.
I've heard like a lot of South African music because one of my very close friends is South African, so he's very like introduced me to a lot of their music. But I know like when it comes to Zimbabwe, I'd say their worship music is fire.
I heard.
Yeah. So
know a lot of people from Zimbabwe. Yeah. Good people.
True. Any surprise questions?
Man, now those are the ones I always got saved up for whenever we get, the Africans on here. And ask them about the jollof rice.
And then any other last things in general?
Nah, man, it's been great. It's been a great conversation. We went from talking about trucks, TikTok, to sharing testimonies, talking about culture, talking about, music influence and all that good stuff. So that was a great podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm sure the people
I agree.
are very, very excited.
Yeah.
And now you have another podcast to listen to on the road. So,
Exactly right.
sure.
Man. Anything last things you want to share with the audience, bro?
I first of all like to say thank you for having me on your podcast. I think it's been, very great, being able to talk about a very niche industry. Like to say shout out to all my friends in Ghana from Fountainhead Christian School. Happy birthday to the school that helped make me into the man that I am today. Happy birthday also to one of my very good friends, Lord Achidago. Today is actually his birthday. I need to give him a call or something. So jeez. And shout out to my mom. Yeah, for sure. And then don't forget my mom, and my dad for, working as hard as he does, every day. So
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That's good. And man, we're super grateful for just like you and your friendship, and then just your consistency. Like, even with how much you travel and are out of town and on your schedule, like, you're definitely one of the most like consistent friends.
I think I wasn't always like that, and so I had to reinvent myself, And I think one of the things that I wanted to have people say about me, not say about myself, was that I was hardworking and I was consistent. And I think, if you're saying it, then I guess I'm on the way to achieving that. So thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, bro. But we got so much love for you, and we're excited to see just everything that God's got in store for the future for you, man. And definitely community here would be different if you weren't here. So it's good, man. But
sure, my life would be different if I was in here. So.
True, yeah. If you didn't have Confession Friday every Friday, how could we get through the week?
How could we get through the week?
Oh my gosh. But before we get in trouble, that'll be a wrap for us today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you liked today's episode, please like, comment, share, subscribe, leave a rating, all that fun stuff. We'll be linking the information for Philip in the description if you want to follow his truck driving journey and
his new TikTok.
His new TikTok, all that fun stuff. And then
hopefully we're gonna have a flight journey as well.
Ooh,
Very soon.
true
So,
that.
about it.
True
Yeah.
that. And then all of our information will be in the description below as well. If you want to support the podcast, what is this? The podcast, because I normally do the outreaches, the podcasts, all that. All right, well, yo, thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, much love. God bless.